Here's the question. Can Lampard actually get the best out of Werner in a squad littered with youth assets that he really believes in and big money signings that he's just brought through the door? Timo Werner, the striker we all had to have. We all had to have him in our team. And it's been an absolute mess so far. So what I want to talk about from an FPL point of view, of course, is Timo Werner a player that we can trust for the rest of the season? Do you hang on with the idea that, look, Chelsea have got Ziyech and Pulisic to come back. They've got so many great options. It can't get any worse for Timo Werner. Or are you starting to believe the fact that quite possibly there is a curse at Chelsea Football Club? And Timo Werner is the latest in a very long line of Chelsea strikers to be having an absolute nightmare in terms of choosing Chelsea to play for and thus ruining their career. Yes, a little bit hyperbolic, Rambo, but we're going to go down this road. Timo Werner, we've spoken about this for a couple of weeks now. He is... Here's the question. Can Lampard actually get the best out of Werner in a squad littered with youth assets that he really believes in and big money signings that he's just brought through the door? Can he actually get the best out of Timo Werner? Because we're going to look at some of the other options that you could bring in for him. But all of those other options that we will talk about, they are the main man. They are the striker. They are the person that the whole team revolves around in terms of creating chances for that player. Will Timo Werner get the opportunities and get the goals to be a good asset in FPL? Or have we all just been sold something that doesn't exist?
I mean, the first thing, you got to look at the facts. And his ownership's gone down by 10% since game week 1, which I don't think I've seen a fall like that in a player at this price ever since we've really got into FPL. He gets in the right positions, but and there comes a point, especially when you're in the Premier League, where you start to look desperate. I don't think he's at that point yet, but if he doesn't score against Palace by game week 5, which is after the international break, comes up against Southampton, then Manchester United, 2 sides that will make it difficult for him, then you start to panic. I think he got an assist in his opening game when Ryan took him out against Liverpool. He could have had an assist, but Jorginho missed a penalty. I would say, from an FPL perspective, jump the gun. He's too expensive to keep right now. He's way too expensive. And he's gone down to 9.4. So before you start losing even more money, and there are better options right now, get him out. But
because I've got him. Because I've got him in my... mate, because I don't think it's totally his fault. And I think Lampard, it's as simple as look, if you win games, we're going to all love you, Lampard. If you don't win games, we're coming for you. And he got a lot of heat at the weekend for his tactical changes, which on the face of it, I kind of thought was quite unfair because they were 3-0 down and they drew 3-3. You know, that's not the worst turnaround. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But Giroud came on and there was a kind of a feeling amongst a lot of Chelsea fans that they kind of wasted that period of time when they actually were in a good space already and would have found a different way of getting the goals to get themselves back in the game. But they kind of they had Giroud, Werner, Abraham all up front pretty much. I think they had, was it Christensen up as like the lone centre back, and they were all just a bit lost because I don't think you're ever going to look to play that way. And it did feel a little bit like, look, just chuck everyone on and hope that it works out. And it did work out. I think that's the kind of point to remember. But like you say, yet to score, and still owned by 30% of the FPL managers in the game. 9.4.
At least 5 or 6% of them will just be people who have just put him in their team and just like binned it. So I'd say 25% roughly. I would just say the worry with Werner is a couple of worries from a good and a bad standpoint. A good standpoint is Ziyech is still to come in, so they're going to get service to him, and service will be something he needs because at the moment it feels like Chelsea aren't quite getting the ball into the forward area smoothly. Everything seems a little bit bitty. and it's not quite there. And Ziyech is an incredible passer of the ball, and he loves players who run off the last man. He looks bright. He's making really good runs, and the service isn't happening for him. Then the question might arise: what's Kai Havertz doing, and what the rest of the boys doing? But that's a completely different dialogue. The bad side of it is Pulisic plays off the left channel, and I don't know if you can get his heat map up, but Werner loves to play off the left channel. His chances always come off the left channel because he's so used to playing in a 4-2-2-2. That he always drifts left. He reminds me of Thierry Henry, not in his quality, but in the sense of his positioning, or probably as a graphic similar to Neil Maupay. So then I go, Pulisic comes in and starts playing on that side. Werner clogs him up on that side. All of a sudden you're going, okay, so where do I stick Werner in? Tammy Abraham, dare I say, actually looked like the striker on the weekend. He actually looked like the one who was going to score the goals. He scores a tap-in. That's where I want Werner.
That's it. So, I mean, like, look at it here. His overall rating, this is on sofascore.com, which I quite like because it does give these heat maps. 6.2, playing on that left-hand side in this game. Again, it's a team that scored 3 goals, were understandably, and look, as a fan of a team that's been down the bottom of the Premier League, when these moments happen, you go, what? Okay, no, yeah, of course we scored 3. We're a good team. But everyone's like that. And if you're a West Brom fan, I would just say that you can't be drawing those. You can't be giving 3 goals away. I don't care who the team is, because that actually is you talk about papering over the cracks. Like that will be a massive actual mental scar on this team. Because the teams that win things and do well, they score late. The teams that go down concede late, or I'll give up leads. And for West Brom to do that, it's a really bad position for them to be in. But when it comes to this, with Werner and his positioning, he was kind of all over the place a little bit in this game. And I think that's due to the sort of the overall structure of the way that Chelsea were set up. But, 58 touches, so touching the ball quite a lot. But again, against a team that's right down there, who's conceded 3 goals, he's had 4 shots in the whole game. Like that's a worry, and I think the problem for me when it comes to Werner, and that's why I'm going to be looking to get him out. The problem I've got is I've got injuries in my team, so I might have to just stick with him. Is he's not the be all and end all for Chelsea. The fact that Abraham starts that game for me is really odd, and there's going to be rotation. And even if it's rotation in terms of his position as much as him playing or not, that's a real problem for Chelsea and for FPL owners who've got Werner. So if we're gonna get rid of him, 9.4 million, who are you bringing in? There's a few names that I think are quite interesting because we come back to trust. I always come back to trust. Which strikers are strikers that you can trust? I think there are 3 that jump out at me straight away. I think it's really, really obvious. I'm going to go straight to forwards. I'm going to show you. I expect them to be right up the top there. Look, Vardy, I think is one of those. The cost is 10 million, so you need to have a bit of money left over. Mate, Vardy is, man. It happens every single year. He scores goals. He scores goals, mate. You have to let it go. You just got to let it be. The problem with him is he's got a bad hip. He came off in that game, so that'll be something that you'll be a little bit concerned with. In terms of the fixtures coming up, West Ham and Aston Villa next up. Look, both of them have had encouraging fixtures in the last 2, so I think they're harder than you would think, both of those games. But I would still bank on Vardy to play every game that is possible, take every penalty, and it's a team that's growing in confidence. So I think if you can get Vardy in, he would be my first choice. The second guy is your man. And this guy is cheaper, so you can find yourself some money. And playing West Brom next up, I think West Brom are going to concede 3 goals very often. And so again, it comes back to sort of trust and understanding over players that you can trust and understand where they're going to be. And Danny Ings is Jamie Vardy in 4 years' time, as long as he stays fit, takes the penalties, plays for a team that needs him, and he's never going to be rotated. And he's cheaper. Danny Ings is a really good shout. I'm guessing you would go Danny Ings over Vardy?
Yeah, price 1.6 million difference. Although looking at Vardy's next 4, I think he probably, if he plays, he probably scores in all 4. West Ham, Aston Villa. He's got a great record against Arsenal and Leeds, who play open football. But I think for the long run, for the fact that I think Southampton will get better as the season goes on, I think Leicester will get worse as the season goes on, because Vardy always tires. He does get tired now. He needs to chill out on the WKDs. I think Ingsy is the better option long term. Also, his price is going to go up. Vardy from 10 million, is his price going to go up? He's probably the highest ownership he's going to be at all season. He's at 23%. So
that's a good
Ings
point.
would be my preferred option.
Okay.
Because as the ownership goes up, Ings finished last season on 30%, which is going to at least take him up by like another 0.3 million.
I'm intrigued to see, so squad goal and shot creation. I'm intrigued to see where Leicester are in that, and Southampton. Because I think that might be part of it as well. Because actually, right at the start of the season, you'll remember we were looking at that and thinking, Southampton have got really nice fixtures. We were thinking at the start of it all. So shot creating actions. Liverpool, Spurs right up there, which is quite surprising. Leicester up a little bit higher. I think this is the thing, is that we are still in game week 3, so I think there is a pinch of salt with all of it. I think for me, confidence is a real big thing at the moment for a lot of these teams. Southampton, I think in that next game, I wouldn't blame anyone for bringing in Danny Ings and captaining him in the next game. It makes complete sense to do something like that because you've got West Brom. Down the line, I just don't think you can trust anyone more than Vardy. The only other person I would chuck in there, mate, is Jimenez. You could trust him last season, but can you trust Wolves? I'm not sure I can trust Wolves right now.
I think you can trust Jimenez, though, because he always returns. It's like his best asset. They play Fulham next. That for me would be a big swing because he's a certain captain. The problem is, he only ever gets one return. So I remember we were saying this. I remember last season we had this dialogue about Raul Jimenez. And for me, it was between Jimenez and Ings. And for you, it was the same way around because you can have Ings. And you had Jimenez for a long time. Anytime he returns, he often will score a goal. And I don't know why. He might get a cheeky assist. But I don't imagine his double-digit hauls were very high last year. So in that sense, I'm like, do you want to spend 0.2 million and definitely return once? And Ings is a BPS magnet. He got the most bonus points last year out of anyone. I think so. But Jimenez's next 4 are actually really good fixtures, whereas Ings's are a bit nor here nor there. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. Is it like if his injury isn't too bad and he comes back, he's such a creative force for them. I think everyone was really impressed by him. A little bit at the back of the end of last season, but also that Man City game. Fulham goals, Leeds goals, Newcastle, they'll dominate that game. Crystal Palace, I think that Crystal Palace is a tough game, but I think there are goals to be had. And like we've said, who within teams that are, and these guys, look, it's a new bracket. Look at the Premier League bracket in terms of teams that they're good, but you're probably going to get good value for them. Jimenez, Ings, Vardy, all in that space, all really good options. I think from a value point of view, probably the best front 3 you can get is Jimenez, Ings, and DCL. Like if I've used my wild card, it's too late for me, guys. But if you haven't, now could be the time. Like I think there'll be moments where Harry Kane will bag a hat trick and Vardy will bag a hat trick. But I think for consistent returns and the value of those players, to have DCL, was he at 7.2 now? I don't know. 8.6 for Jimenez. Ings is 8.4. Calvert-Lewin's 7.4, and he's only going up. I think I wouldn't blame anyone for going for that with those 3. But final question then from me to you, Rambo, and then I'll answer it back. Werner in or out? Is there any way you hold him?
Not for my team. If Son's injured, you have to hold him. You can't take a -4. So he's got to stay another week. It might work out for you. I think a lot of people transfer him out this week. So that could work out, but you can't transfer him now. You can't do it. -4, it's not worth it at this stage. My
thoughts on it, I kind of agree with you. And what I'm really hoping is that every single time we do this stream, there's some bits that we get right and there's some bits that we get massively wrong. Yeah. And I'm really hoping Werner is that one. Like he actually just catches fire this week and it all works out. But yeah, let us know. Who do you think is the best attacking option in terms of value? Is it Ings? Is it Vardy? Or is it Jimenez? Oh, is there someone else? Let us know. And also Werner, in or out? Let us know.